The Romans were masters of construction, defying the odds with their ingenious techniques, without any of the technology we rely on today. Their buildings have withstood centuries of natural disasters, wars, and wear and tear, yet they still look remarkably intact. So, what was their secret? What made their buildings so resilient? The answer might surprise you. It all came down to the materials they used. Unlike the Greeks, who relied on traditional cut and chiseled stone, the Romans were true innovators. They developed a powerful mix of concrete, fired red brick, marble, and stone blocks, materials that allowed them to build larger, stronger, and more complex structures than ever before. The wealthy Romans spared no expense when building their dream homes, turning architecture into a symbol of status and innovation. In the early days, stone and unburned brick were the primary building materials. But as the empire expanded, so did their ambitions. By Rome's peak, even ordinary buildings were coated in white marble stucco, creating a sleek, polished look. However, not everyone had access to these sturdy, long-lasting materials. For those on a tighter budget, homes were built with timber and mud bricks, cheap but highly flammable and prone to collapse. These houses were ticking time bombs, easily destroyed by fires, storms, or even time itself. Not exactly the safest place to live. As Roman engineering advanced, construction underwent a dramatic transformation. Stone-cutting techniques made buildings more uniform and refined, while the introduction of concrete revolutionized architecture. This ingenious mix of limestone mortar, gravel, sand, and rubble became the gold standard for building solid, enduring structures. But Rome's growth wasn't just about strength and durability, it was also about luxury. As the empire grew, so did the demand for lavish homes. Inspired by the grandeur of Greek architecture, wealthy Romans built grand suburban villas that redefined the concept of home. These estates were the ultimate status symbol, featuring spacious rooms for entertaining, private baths for relaxation, and elegant decor that showcased the owner's refined taste. Only the wealthiest citizens could afford these luxurious homes, where comfort and opulence went hand in hand. But while the wealthy were living large, a different trend was emerging in Rome. As the city's population exploded, space became scarce, leading to the rise of multi-story apartment buildings known as insulae. From the 2nd to 3rd century CE, these towering structures sprang up across the city, transforming the urban landscape. Insulae were the go-to housing option for the working class and those living in poverty. These humble apartments may not have had the luxury of the villas, but they played a crucial role in Rome's rapid urban expansion. Most ancient Romans called the insulae home, multi-story apartment buildings that were the ancient equivalent of modern-day tenement blocks. The name insulae literally means islands in Latin, and these buildings were often towering structures that seemed to rise up like islands from the bustling streets. Some insulae reached dizzying heights of 9 stories, prompting Emperor Augustus to step in and set a limit on building heights. Why? Because these towering structures were prone to collapse, and the risk of flooding, fire, and disease was ever present. Conditions in the insulae were often grim. The lower floors were the most desirable, with larger rooms, windows, balconies, and even running water. A luxury in ancient Rome. But the upper floors were a different story altogether. Families were crammed into single rooms with no natural light, no water supply, and no bathroom facilities. Your home reflected your status. While noblemen enjoyed grand domus and countryside villas, the majority of Romans lived in small, crowded flats. Having your own private home was the ultimate status symbol. Only the noblemen and the emperor could afford the luxury of a private abode. The rest of the population had to make do with shared living spaces. For those who could afford it, a domus building was the greatest example of private living. These one-floor dwellings were designed for comfort and luxury, often featuring grand architectural elements like pillars, statues, mosaics, and wall paintings. Large courtyards and small pools for gathering rainwater added to the sense of serenity. A typical domus was divided into 2 main sections. the Antica and the Postica. The Antica, located at the front, served as a social space for receiving guests and hosting gatherings. In contrast, the Postica, at the back of the house, was a private retreat for family members. For the wealthiest Romans, this area also housed personal slaves, who handled household chores and cooking. For noblemen living outside the city, a villa was the preferred residence. These expansive estates were much larger than a domus, offering more land, grander entertainment spaces, and greater privacy. The richest individuals often owned both: a domus in the city for daily affairs and a villa in the countryside for relaxation, much like owning both a townhouse and a vacation home today. Ancient Roman country villas were truly extravagant, with beautifully landscaped gardens, private pools, and vast spaces for entertainment. These luxurious retreats were the perfect getaway for Rome's elite, offering a peaceful escape from the hustle and bustle of city life. Yet, what's truly fascinating is how many of these ancient buildings have survived for centuries, even enduring the devastating eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. In Pompeii, researchers have discovered astonishingly well-preserved Roman homes, their walls and frescoes still standing after nearly 2,000 years. But Roman architectural brilliance didn't stop at private homes. The same ingenious engineering that shaped their villas and domus also led to some of the most iconic structures in history, buildings so advanced that many still stand today. So, what exactly made their buildings so durable? One of the major stars of the Roman building scene was travertine. This yellowish or greyish-white limestone was formed by mineral springs and was prized for its beauty and durability. The Colosseum, one of Rome's most iconic landmarks, was built using travertine, and with its ivory-coloured hue, it's often mistaken for marble. The Romans knew a thing or two about sourcing the best materials. Much of their travertine also came from nearby Tivoli, just outside Rome, but the Romans also had other materials that helped make their homes last for centuries. They also made use of a soft, porous local volcanic rock called tuff, which was then faced with marble. But here's the thing. The Romans knew that tuff wasn't entirely all that strong compared to some other rocks like granite or basalt, especially when exposed to water or freezing temperatures. So, why did they use it? Well, it was cheap, readily available, lightweight, and easy to shape. Plus, much of it was extracted right in Rome itself. To give their buildings some extra strength, the Romans covered the tuff with marble sheaths. It was a genius move, really. Not only was it easier and cheaper than using heavy marble blocks, but it also gave their buildings a sleek, sophisticated look. Even the famous first-century architect and engineer Vitruvius weighed in on the importance of choosing the right materials. He wrote that stones should be extracted 2 years before construction, and then left to weather for a couple of years. Any stones that survived the elements would be strong enough for above-ground construction. Can you believe it? The Romans were using a technique that was essentially a 2-year stress test for their building materials. These Romans were clearly too innovative for their time to have even thought of this. But their favorite luxury material, it was marble. This stunning metamorphic rock has been a prized possession for centuries, and its popularity endures to this day. From ancient Roman villas to modern-day skyscrapers, luxury hotels, and designer kitchens, marble remains a symbol of elegance and wealth. So, what makes marble so special? For starters, it's composed of sedimentary carbonate rock, like limestone, that's been transformed by extreme pressure and heat deep within the Earth's core. The result? A luminous, vibrant glow that seems to radiate from within. But marble wasn't just a pretty face. It was also a symbol of wealth and status. To make the most of this expensive material, Roman architects employed some clever strategies. They'd often use thin slabs of marble as veneers, attaching them to walls built with more affordable materials like bricks. Recently, researchers uncovered some fascinating insights into Roman marble production. Led by geologist Cesc Pascia, a team examined 54 marble panels from a 2nd century villa in Turkey, using 3D modeling software. They discovered that 40 of the panels had been precision cut from a single block of Cipollino Verde marble. But here's the amazing part. The Romans didn't just cut and polish the marble, they also carefully arranged the slabs to create kaleidoscope-like symmetrical designs. It's a technique still admired today in high-end interior design, proving that the Romans were not just master builders, but pioneers of timeless aesthetics. And get this, the entire process, from cutting to polishing to transportation, was incredibly efficient. Only 5% of the slabs were broken, which is on par with modern-day marble production. But the ultra-rich, they had a different type of marble used in constructing their homes. This marble was so exclusive, it was reserved for royalty. Welcome to the world of imperial porphyry, the ultimate status symbol of ancient Rome. This luxurious marble boasted a deep, rich purple hue that was simply irresistible to emperors. But what made it truly unique was its rarity. All imperial porphyry came from a single, remote quarry in Roman Egypt called the Mons Porphyrites. The story of its discovery is fascinating. In 18 BC, a Roman soldier named Caius Cominius Logus stumbled upon a hard, purple-red rock in the desert. And just like that, the most coveted marble in the empire was born. Technically speaking, porphyry is an igneous rock containing coarse-grained crystals. But let's be real, it's the luxurious vibe that counts. Imperial porphyry was often used as an accent stone in tiled floors or on columns, adding a touch of sophistication to any room. You can still spot imperial porphyry in ancient Roman artifacts like vases, busts, and even the stunning basin from Nero's Golden House. It's a marvel of engineering, considering the basin is an enormous single piece of porphyry marble. But here's the amazing part. The journey of imperial porphyry from quarry to palace was an epic adventure. The marble traveled from the mine to the Nile, then boarded a ship to cross the Mediterranean, making stops along the way. The final leg of the journey, from the port of Ostia to Rome, was a grueling overland trek that could take up to 10 weeks. The truth behind imperial porphyry's exclusivity, it wasn't just the rare marble itself, but the hefty price tag that came with transporting it. Think of it like this. Owning a Hermes Birkin handbag made from white alligator skin is like flashing a luxury superpower. It says you've got connections, style, and $150,000 to spare for a bag. And it's not just the living who wanted to make a statement with porphyry. Some of history's most powerful figures chose it for their final resting places. Nero, the Holy Roman emperors, and even Napoleon. They all opted for porphyry tombs and coffins. So you see, the Romans were the ultimate builders. Nearly 2,000 years after they constructed the iconic Pantheon and Colosseum, these incredible structures are still standing tall, defying earthquakes, floods, and wars. But here's the twist. You might think the ancient Romans built their homes and iconic structures mainly out of marble due to its exquisite and durable nature. But the truth is, concrete was the real hero. Engineers and materials scientists are still studying Roman structures today, and they've uncovered some fascinating secrets. It all comes down to a match made in heaven. Ingenious design meets innovative concrete. The Romans' concrete recipe was a game changer. It allowed them to create almost any shape they could imagine, from sweeping arches to soaring domes. And the best part, this durable, adaptable material enabled them to build structures that would last for centuries. Those iconic arches, vaults, and domes that define Roman architecture, they weren't just fancy flourishes. Oh no, they were cleverly designed to distribute weight, provide support, and create a sense of drama and grandeur. According to renowned geologist Marie Jackson, the Colosseum's incredibly robust concrete foundation is the real reason this amphitheater has defied earthquakes and remained standing for centuries. Well, it shouldn't be a wonder, honestly, because the foundations are whopping 12 meters thick, packed with dense, heavy lava rock aggregate. Concrete wasn't new, even back then. It had been invented around 1,000 years earlier for building fortresses. But the Romans were the first to use it on a massive scale. And did they make the most of it? Most Roman concrete buildings were clad in marble or plaster, which has mostly disappeared over time, revealing the concrete walls beneath. So, what made Roman concrete so special? For starters, it was lighter than stone, making it easier for laborers to work with. It also enabled them to build walls that reached dizzying heights. Plus, concrete could be molded into different shapes and used to hold together blocks, bricks, and other materials. By adding stones to strengthen it and using a volcanic ash called pozzolana found near Naples, they created a game-changing material that could harden even underwater. The Romans started using pozzolana in the 3rd century BC, and it revolutionized their construction projects. With this magic mortar, they built bridges, harbors, jetties, and breakwaters that withstood the elements and the passage of time. Now, you might think modern concrete is the stronger sibling, and you're right, it's about 10 times stronger than the Roman variety. And why is this? Well, Roman concretes have lower compressive strength compared to modern concretes, and the aggregate materials used in making Roman concretes were rather too coarse, which can lead to a weaker bond between the aggregate and the binder. But here's the twist. Roman concrete is exponentially more durable. While modern concrete can't withstand seawater and starts eroding after just 50 years, Roman concrete harbors and breakwaters have withstood nearly 2,000 years of marine abuse and are still standing. And it's not just about durability. Roman concrete is also more eco-friendly, using fewer resources and requiring less heat. Concrete has definitely become the ultimate building block of modern civilization. But have you ever wondered what makes it tick? Today's concrete is a clever combination of Portland cement, a fancy mix of silica sand, limestone, clay, and other minerals, and aggregate, aka rocks and sand. Mixing these two together creates a strong and durable material that's perfect for building everything from skyscrapers to sidewalks. For centuries, scientists have been scratching their heads, trying to figure out the magic behind Roman concrete. How did the ancient Romans create a building material that's still standing strong after 2,000 years, even after being submerged in seawater? The answer lies in their clever recipe. Their concrete recipe was surprisingly simple: quicklime, made from baked and crushed limestone rocks, and volcanic rock aggregates. But here's the twist. These volcanic materials were highly reactive, making the resulting concrete chemically active for centuries. And that's why their structures have endured for centuries, while modern concrete can be a bit more, well, fragile. Who knew the ancient Romans were such masters of concrete chemistry? But here's the thing. The exact recipe has been lost to the ages. Or has it? Modern scientists have been studying the base ingredients, volcanic ash, lime, and volcanic rock, and they've made a groundbreaking discovery. It turns out that when seawater meets the volcanic material, it sparks a chemical reaction that produces a rare crystalline mineral. And this mineral does something amazing. It reinforces the structure, making the concrete stronger over time. While modern concrete crumbles in water, Roman concrete actually gets tougher. The concrete was so well designed that it sustains itself. Talk about a genius material. But before we start imagining a world where we can build structures that last forever, there's a catch. Roman concrete may have been durable, but it wasn't exactly built for heavy lifting. According to archaeologist John Olson, you couldn't build a modern skyscraper with Roman concrete. It would collapse when you got to the 3rd story. So, while Roman concrete is incredibly impressive, it's not quite ready for the modern construction site. Still, scientists are eager to learn from the ancient Romans and develop new, sustainable building materials that can stand the test of time. But it appears there's more to what meets the eye. Scientists were not totally convinced that this was the only reason why Roman concrete was extremely durable, and so they took a deeper dive. Take the Pantheon in Rome, for example. Built around AD 126, this ancient structure has been in constant use, yet its intricate dome still looks like it was built yesterday. So, what's the magic ingredient? A team of scientists from MIT and Harvard may have finally cracked the code. Publishing their findings in the journal Science Advances, they revealed that the secret lies in tiny white flecks called limeclasts found in the concrete. These flecks have been present in pretty much every Roman structure, but were previously dismissed as imperfections. However, it turns out that they're actually the key to Roman concrete's incredible strength and self-healing properties. However, MIT professor Admir Masic was never convinced that the Romans were sloppy builders. Why would they put so much effort into creating an incredible construction material only to mess up the final product? It just didn't add up. So, Masic and his team took a closer look at those mysterious white flecks in Roman concrete. And what they found was mind-blowing. Those flecks, known as limeclasts, were actually put there on purpose. It turns out that they're the key to Roman concrete's incredible self-healing properties. Here's how it works. When cracks appear in the concrete, the brittle limeclasts crumble, releasing calcium that can travel through the fracture. When water seeps in, the calcium reacts with it, creating new crystals that automatically fill the crack and fix the structure. To test their theory, the scientists created two concrete blocks, one using the Roman method and one using a modern version. Then, they deliberately smashed them to create cracks. The results were astounding. The Roman formulation was repaired within weeks under a drizzle of water, while the modern version remained broken. It's clear that the Romans were true masters of engineering. Their innovative techniques and attention to detail created a building material that's still inspiring wonder today. Who knew that a little bit of ancient ingenuity could lead to a revolution in modern construction?